All right. Hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Masmorra.
And I'm TheViper.
And this is episode 15 of the Town Center, your podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. And in today's show, Warlords 3 is now over. And in my opinion, it was an amazing tournament, possibly the best tournament of the year so far for me. And we'll take the time to talk about what did the tournament right and what they did not so right and could maybe be improved for a potential next edition. Then we'll bring you up to speed on the current ongoing tournaments and announcements. And we'll also update you on the current state of the Red Bull ladder. Somewhere in there, we'll also make a cool announcement, which if you happen to be a fan of our team, you'll certainly be happy about. If you happen to be new on the channel, first of all, welcome. And if you find yourself enjoying this video, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We're also available on Spotify. And if you do decide to listen to our show over there, make sure to rate us 5 stars. Warrior, my friend, nice to see you. And today we also have a bit of a public service announcement regarding your situation here on the podcast. You're leaving. Is that right?
Yes, I am indeed leaving forever. No, yeah, obviously, we're expecting our baby to be born within maybe 2 weeks or so.
2 weeks.
So 2-3 weeks. I mean, like the due date is still 14th, right? But we had one nurse that said, okay, you should expect the kid to come within like 2 weeks. And that was like a week ago. But then we had a doctor appointment a week later. And the doctor said, don't worry, guys, you still have more time. So we're like a little bit
something completely different.
We just have to be ready, right? So yeah, I think you guys going to be looking for like a stand-in for me. I'm curious who you're going to find.
And I think I'm actually already ready to announce who that is. Tristan has accepted the call, and so he's going to be taking over for you. Well, you know,
I know our level will go down on the podcast, but come on.
We traded a top 2 player for a top 100 player. I think it's pretty similar. So, you know, you see what we try to do here. By the way, I can tell you're going to be an amazing dad because you're already forgetting about your appointments. So you already...
Did you have to bring this up?
You already have your dad brain on. I like it. That means you're going to be a brilliant dad.
In fairness, by the way, he's referring to the fact that I didn't show up yesterday where we were supposed to record this podcast. I was spending 10 hours building up furniture for the baby room. Isn't that also a good dad deed? Let's be real here.
Well, there you go. 10 hours. What the hell was it? Is it like a helicopter that flies the baby over from the hospital or something?
No, it was like the wardrobe, baby bed, commode. Like just the whole room had to get like furniture. So it took some time.
Did you do it on your own?
Yes, I got a little bit of help from my girlfriend's parents. Okay. But I have blisters all over and my whole body hurts. So I feel like I'm not used to these things. Physical movement.
What is physical movement?
What is that even?
I wonder, because I didn't get to see this, of course. My babies were born way too early. But how does Debbie feel about the whole thing? Because from what I hear, when pregnancies are coming to the end, women aren't just like, let's just get this over with. I can't move anymore. Yeah. How is she feeling right now? Is she like at the point where she just wants to get it over with?
Her feet hurt a lot from when she's standing and walking. And she also walks a bit like a duck, you know, doom, 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 sideways. I think she has definitely enjoyed the whole, I mean, we don't want to get too like low here, but like she had miscarriages before, right? So she has enjoyed the fact that she has been finally able to go the whole way, right? So it's been great, and she has gotten a little bit of the like first trimester sickness and such back, but we're on the finish line, so just gotta pull through, and we're excited.
Yeah, I assume she couldn't do much to help you with the furniture, right? I mean, if you walk you like a duck, you know. Those things.
Oh yeah, she still actually helped quite a bit. And like, stop, you're pregnant.
Was she managing?
Stop,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's was she managing? That's sort of wonder. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about Age of Empires here, my friends.
Oh, okay.
And it's also a nice theme, I guess, a nice topic of the podcast. And one thing that I'd like to talk about, so we're going to go over Warlords 3. We kind of did already go over Warlords 3 in the post-match talk. And if you guys haven't watched that video, I definitely recommend you watch it. You know, these things always turn out to be a bit of a doubt show, I want to say, which is good because doubt is hilarious. But in any case, what I think we did not discuss there, and I'd like to do it here today, is talk a little bit more about the tournament in general. Because, you know, in the post-match talk, we talked a lot about the final. But focusing a little bit more on the tournament in general, I loved it. I thought this was an amazing tournament. As I just said, possibly the best tournament of the year for me. And I think this might be recency bias, you know, it's very real. It's something that happens a lot of the times. But I believe the main selling point for me here, Orion, was the single elimination bracket. I think this has done a lot for the quality of the tournament. You know, I did feel like I see players try hard more than they usually do. They practice more than or they prepared more for specific matchups than they usually do. And no matter how hard you try to tell yourself, I know I have 2 chances, but I'm still going to give my all on the first chance, you basically never do. I assume. I'm not a high-level player, but I think somewhere in you, when you know you have a second chance, you know that your first chance is not the last chance. You kind of do approach things differently, whether you do it, consciously or not. Then there's also all the other things that come together with a single elimination bracket, saying things like the main event was much shorter. It was always 1 week. And usually when they talk about MEM tournaments, they do tend to go quite a bit longer. And you also had only 2 series per day, which I think is amazing because, again, talking from a viewer's perspective, if you have like 4 series a day like we had in NAC 5, if you miss some of those series, you're never going to be able to catch them the next day because the next day you have another 5 to catch up to. So that doesn't. It's really hard for people with jobs and with families and all those things. And the viewership showed it, in my opinion. And so I have here the numbers in front of me. Warlords 2 had a peak of 42.6 thousand viewers. Warlords 3 had a peak of 46,000 live viewers. And, so it's more people watching. And then there's always an important point, which is in this time of the year, which is summer for a lot of the countries in the North Hemisphere, which is also a lot of the countries that have most of the people playing the game. In summer, usually you have fewer people playing Age of Empires 2. And it's pretty easy to see in Steam charts, for example. So having more people watch the tournament at a time of the year where less people are playing the tournament, again, goes to show what an amazing success this was, in my opinion. So, but I'm speaking purely here from a viewer perspective. I do know players can have very different opinions about this. So how did you see the whole thing?
So first of all, I think the tournament was amazing, really good, right? I enjoyed playing it a lot, and my perception as well from other players around me and people, they all enjoyed it a lot, right? So massive shout out to MEM for putting on an amazing show. I'll try to touch on a few of the things you said. There was a lot of things that you mentioned there. First of all, the single elimination. I think it's nice that we have variation, right? Every time previously now it's been, or most tournaments have had this like double elimination within a group stage, right? So we have a group with 4 people and there's a double elimination in there before you enter the single elimination top 8 bracket. That's been the normal format right now. But single elimination, obviously if you lose, you're out right away, right? So you have one opponent to prepare for, and that definitely helps in terms of preparation. While in other tournaments, you would probably prepare more on a generic level, where it's like, okay, I just want to prepare good matchups, good maps, and figure out how I want to play things. Well, here you could prepare against a specific opponent, for example. I always kind of like double elimination from a selfish point of view. It's also like, if I mess up, then I have a second chance. But the only thing I find bad about single elimination is like, for example, in this case, Yo lost to Sebastian. Spoiler alert. I'm not sure if Yo prepared much, but imagine Yo prepared for 3 weeks just to lose the one match, and then he's like out, right? It's like you put a lot of work into potentially very little reward. So I usually like when players get more opportunities to show their skill and their level in their games. So there is an argument for both double elimination and single elimination. But yeah, obviously in this case, the single elimination worked out great. And I'm not sure if I agree with the fact that you like, when you have a second chance, you don't play your best, right? It always depends on who you are and what your position is, right? For example, let's say in this case, Hera against, I don't know, I don't want to bring any names.
Say,
Hera against Doubt. Hera against Doubt.
That's a safe one.
Yeah, safe one. There is a chance Hera might think, okay, I'm favored here. I'm gonna probably win, so I'll just not show all my strategies here and save them for later, right? But imagine your Doubt. Like, you just have to go all guns, like full guns blazing, right? You have to go all out to try and give yourself an extra. Because if you win the first match, you would have another second chance. So, I think it depends on where you are and what your confidence is like. But I don't think you subconsciously or consciously play worse or like lesser because you have a second chance.
Right, but you did say yourself, right? You feel like when you have a second chance, it's just more comfortable for you. And I think part of it being comfortable, right? So if it's more uncomfortable, you're probably going to be giving more, and we're really going to be trying to win. I mean, just imagine, it's also, I think, more conducive to upsets, right? When you know there's a single elimination, if you have if you give Hera a second chance, he's probably not going to lose against anybody. But if you only give him one chance, who knows what might happen? And even in the case... Yeah.
But also, if you have a second chance, you might play better because you're more relaxed, so less nervous. So It can always go everywhere, right?
And I totally see what's happening here. I'm seeing this from the viewer's perspective. For me, I love that people feel uncomfortable and they have to give it all. That's going to give a better show from what I'm watching.
Do viewers want players to be uncomfortable? Is this like a thing?
Yes.
What?
Yes. We want to really try hard. I cannot lose this now. I love it when people are really, really trying. It's funny. When there are some people, again, I don't want to name names, but there are a lot of people that go like, oh, you're just try hard. You're such a try hard. I love tryhards, and that's why I love watching Hera, for example. He always try hard, most of the times tryhards. I love tryhards. I love people that really try to win, and people try to make this like make this like an insult, make something better to your tryhard. It's not an insult. It's amazing. I love it.
Imagine it being a bad thing to try hard.
Yeah,
like separate the words, like not in one word try hard, but try hard.
Yeah,
how is that ever a bad thing?
Yeah,
right?
It isn't. Yeah, so speaking like from a historical perspective, the single eliminations, we never had many of those. I think Hidden Cup 5 used to be the only tournament who used it regularly. Hidden Cup 5, Hidden Cup, not only the 5th, of course. And I think a lot of the reasons for that we've already talked about here many times before is that we were trying to extend tournaments because we didn't have many. If you have a single elimination bracket, the tournament's going to be over very soon. If you know that you want to have that once this tournament is over, the next is going to happen next year only. You obviously want to extend it for as much of a time period as you can. But the thing now that I believe we can say in the community and the way it is organized currently is that we have so many tournaments that even if you have a single elimination bracket and you happen to be someone who's rather unlucky here or there, that luck, in an ideal world, unless you're called Nakov, is going to balance out over several tournaments, right? Yeah. So I do believe, at least from my perspective, for online tournaments, single elimination bracket seems to be amazing. I cannot say the same thing about offline tournaments, of course, because if you're going to be traveling from somewhere all over the world and you go to a place and all the things you just said, you only get to play one series, that's it. One thing, though, that I want to mention as well, and I want to hear your thoughts here, when you have a single elimination bracket and you really get to prepare for one series that might be your only series that you're going to play, I think it's incredibly important you get to play with the civs and the maps that you actually prepared for, or at least the civs, which makes me wonder, if we were to ditch the whole drafting system that we now have for virtually every single tournament, and we went back to what we used to have in the old days, what was it like? Hidden Civ, no repeat was basically what we had for all the tournaments. Would that, in a tournament like Warlords, lead to like mass mirror matches, you reckon? Because I'm always scared of having a player prepare really deeply to a series and then he doesn't have the civs available that he really prepared with.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, you had a few tournaments now where there's these like random admin bans, right? To force variation. Like, I personally like it because it makes you like, you cannot just prepare one thing and that's your go-to, right? I know you say the way you're saying it right now, that's kind of what you want people to be able to do. But like the variation is the spice of life, man. It's like, to just switch to your, like, yes, if you had free pick, no repeat, for example, as before, Kawasan would be Georgians exclusively, kind of. I mean, you might see people throwing Persians there, but like there would be more mind games where people try to catch you off guard because you're going to pick this there, so I'm going to try to use this as a counter pick. Right. So you would see more of those, but I guarantee you there will be a lot of mirror matches as well. And
a lot of mirror.
I think that will be worse for the general entertainment, both for players and viewers. I like the random bans because they force you to also adapt during the draft, right? You'd be like, okay, maybe I want this and this civ for this map, and then both of them are banned. Okay, what do I do now, right? You have to like really think, and there's like also a skill in the drafting itself. Like you can win a player in the draft, right? By simply outdrafting him.
Is that good? Is that good though? If you prepare like 3 weeks for a series and then you're losing the draft,
well, then you did a bad job drafting, right?
Okay, but
I mean, not like that. I don't say like obviously you can still outplay a person no matter what and win through the game. But like there is the draft can give you chances, extra 10-15% chance of winning, right? And I think that's a good thing because that's also their strategy involved in like picking the right. Well, we have so many civilizations. It's good that they are impactful and that you have like a whole process of where you make them impactful by your own decisions. Rather than just the whole pick, no repeat, and if you get where I'm coming from. I think it's a good thing.
In my mind, of course, I was hoping, but you just completely threw cold water into this theory. I was hoping that the balance that we currently have is good enough that you are not necessarily going to have mirror matches on all the maps. I guess if you have like maps like Arabia, it's probably not entirely clear what you're going to pick there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like I said, there would be a certain maps here and there where like people will try some mind games.
It's pretty clear what it is,
or a comfort pick rather than like the best civ on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So I still would expect like a lot of maps to have like when not Dravidians, Armenians was so dominant on water maps, right? Every water map would be Armenian mirror, right? It will be a nightmare, right? I like the water map situation we have right now, where there are multiple civs that are viable. So you see people try things, which to me makes water maps. Honestly, I've hated water maps forever.
I like them so much now. Yeah, Migration. It's become one of my favorite maps. Yeah. It's such an interesting, so nuanced as well. So I guess maybe a solution here, in order to make sure that people can play a couple of the civs they prepared with, it's maybe give a couple of free picks that cannot be banned. I think this was the case, if I'm not mistaken, in Warlords 3. Didn't you have like 2 picks that you're 100% going to get?
No, you have like the 10. You have the random admin bans first, and then you drafted 6.
Warlords? You had I didn't even know that. You had random bans?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were 10 or 12 random bans before you started picking your civs.
I think this is just a me thing. I'm so uninterested by the whole drafting system. I know for players, this plays a massive role. And that's why I also don't like seeing him in the stream. I think it's a bit of dead time. But
that's also why, like, you see when they want to do the draft live, right? You'll see the players start the draft, they pick the maps. And then the reason it takes a lot of time sometimes before the civs is because, there's 10 random admin bans. So you have to adapt your whole draft around some of your picks being gone.
That's crazy to me. In a single elimination bracket, you have one chance and you don't even get to play the stuff you've prepared with. That feels so... Okay, so in my opinion, I have a list of the things that I wanted to improve for a potential Warlords. I mean, I'm talking about as if this was my turn, but it's not. But that would be one of them. Don't you see that as a big negative here? I mean, you prepare for one series and then you don't have your civs.
I don't see it as a big negative. I see it as a potential disruption to your preparation. But it's also, you have to prepare with that in mind, right? Which is why I'm saying you have to prepare like, you have to have play styles for maps, not a civ for a map. So you need to prepare in a different way, because there is a chance your top pick is excluded. But there's also a chance that top 2 and 3 picks are excluded, which means you might have a curveball that you have secured in the back that you can throw out there, right? I like it. Like I said, it forces variation, and it allows also people to be more tricky and strategic in the draft. So for me, it's a big plus.
For players, it sounds like it's a lot of fun because you understand all the mind games going on. For the pleb, just watching the civs being picked. That's why another thing, we need someone commentating on the picks live. That would be enough. Yeah, so I want to move on to the things that I think could have been made better, could be better about this tournament. And again, I don't think this is totally subjective. I want to make this incredibly clear. There's nothing inherently wrong about these things that I'm about to say. So we've talked about this, me and you and all the other guys doing the post-match talk, the 3rd place match. I don't feel incredibly strongly about it, and it's like I completely hate it. I just think there are better alternatives. And again, I understand why people like Hera and Doubt, they explained in the post-match talk why they like it. But as a viewer, and a pretty hardcore viewer at that, I personally care very little for it. What about, just as a random alternative, what if we had something like, let's say, like a free-for-all game between, say, Doubt, Dave, Margugu, maybe, a couple of the funniest guys you have in the community. You put them all on voice chat. You let them banter and... and do what they're going to do live on stream. Isn't that going to be so much more fun? It also, as an added benefit, you have it allows Memp to relax a little bit. He doesn't have to be there all the time, and worry about what's happening on stream. Well, I guess he has to worry about what people are going to say, but he can give a few instructions. Then let's say 30 minutes before the final starts, you have like a panel of analysts. Let's put someone like Ornlo there, who's good with numbers. And wouldn't that be a lot more engaging? Because I also think, just to finish, and I'll let you respond, just to finish, I always think about, if you think about how many people watch Age of Empires 2 on a normal day, you have 3,000-4,000 people in the Age of Empires 2 category. When you suddenly have 46,000 people watching the stream, it's pretty clear that a vast majority of those folks are going to be casual viewers. They watch Age of Empires 2 once in a blue moon. Isn't that going to be a lot more of the stuff that they're expecting to see, and more of the stuff that they actually are going to enjoy?
I would agree that the analyst stuff in front of a final, yes. I don't think throwing 8 random community members into a free-for-all is
What do you mean random community members? Doubt, Dave, Margu?
Members, known profiles, whatever. But to me, that's I feel like it would take away from the professionality of the tournament as well, right? Right before the final, we just have a random free-for-all where everyone are bantering and talking shit, talking smack. me, it feels like that would take away a little bit of the professionality.
Really? I think it would be a perfect balance. You have something not serious at all. Okay, now we focus. Now the serious stuff comes.
Why do we need anything except a pre-final show? Just have analysts, maybe maybe you could have some pre-recorded content where Ornlu, in this case, would analyze some moves or things that happen, civ drafts. You can have a whole show built up around the finalists, build up in the tournament, how they have drafted through the tournament. You can easily get an hour and a half of that type of content.
Sure. I think the counter argument for that would be that the longer the show goes for before the final starts, it allows for more people to come and sort of become engaged with the content.
But that's why I would prefer 1.5 hours enough to build up for the final?
I'm not experienced enough to know that. But I would assume I would assume that that's the reason, right? They want to have something before that lets people, get warmed up and all of that.
In which case, a third place match makes sense, right?
I guess, but the thing is, you can see that again, this is going to sound like I'm criticizing anybody. I'm not. You can see the players are not fully in it. And that's Tato talked about it. He was so pissed off from the semifinals. He just couldn't focus in the game.
I mean, we had the talk in our post tournament talk, right, where Doubt and Hera was kind of in favor of it because they get then they know if they make it to the semifinals, they get to play on the final day as well. Well, me and Tato was more like, well, if I lose in the semifinal, I just want to be done with the tournament, right? So there are different mindsets going into this. I personally also really dislike third place matches because if I lose the semifinal, like I said, I want to be done with the tournament. I was aiming for the final. I wanted to win the tournament. If that goal is not achievable anymore, I don't want to play the tournament anymore. Mm-hmm. In this case, they obviously put a monetary incentive because there was $1,000 difference between third and fourth. So obviously, you could still expect that players will show up and do their best in a third place match when it's about $1,000, right? So I understand that. But also, there is something subconscious that whether you want to or not, it's just like when you're out of the tournament or you're very disappointed with the semifinal or that you didn't perform your best or didn't make it to the final, it could go two ways, right? You'll be very disappointed and you just don't care anymore. Or you're like, I'm going to show them, right? And you play even better in the third place match. Mm-hmm. What I really dislike with a third place match is the unpredictability of the time frame for the final, right? If Tato and Sebastian in this, we ended up starting the grand final, I think around 7 p.m.
It was almost punctual, wasn't it? I think, or are you making the point that it was too late, or?
No, but the point is imagine ACCM was in the final, right? He's from Vietnam. He would have started the final at 1 a.m. And in this case, the third place match was short. It was short, right? It went 3-0. No game was particularly super long. Imagine there's a 4-5 clearing. The game takes 2 hours. Imagine, and then there also goes 5 games. So easily add another 2 hours on that. Suddenly we had a third place match that took 4 hours, which means we will start at the grand final EU time around 9 p.m. For me, that would have been absolutely horrendous, right? As a dad-to-be, I'm getting tired around 10, 11 European time. And imagine an Asian player, he would have to start the grand final at 3 a.m. his time. I mean, maybe they would have adapted the time schedule a little bit with that in mind. But for me, I don't like the unpredictability. If I have a match to be played, I would like to be like, okay, you're playing at 7. Just show up in 7 and you're going to start, right? I don't like... That's also why the 2 matches this tournament, there was only 2 matches a day, right? Has been a little bit of a nice change because previously we had 4 sets every day. And then it's okay, I have the 3rd or 4th match of the day. When the hell do I start? Because there's the unpredictability of how long each set before is going to take. Just makes you sit there and waste your whole day in anticipation. Just, okay, I might start soon, so I can't do anything.
Can't even imagine.
That's absolutely horrible. And,
how nerve-wracking that is.
And that's the same for the grand final, right? I'm just sitting there waiting for the third place match to finish. I have I like to eat 2-3 hours before I'm starting to play. I can't
you don't know,
align that as my wishes, right? Because of the unpredictability. So for me, third place matches are just throw them in the bin. I don't care much for them. But obviously I understand their positives as well.
Yeah, 2 things need to be said there. One of them you already said. When there's a price difference, of course, there needs to be a third place match. What the alternative would be is just split evenly the money that it's supposed to be given to those 2 players, of course. And one point that one viewer made, I wish I knew the name. I just remember what he said that I thought was so smart. When you have a third place match, you're basically making it a double elimination for these 2 folks only. Yeah. which goes a bit against the system. I think this is a very fair point. You're only giving these two guys a chance to redeem themselves, right? And not everybody else. I think that's a very fair point.
One thing I also brought up in the post-match talk, I think the third place match works for the players as well if they play recorded games, or they play like before the show and then like you have recorded games. Because then the finalists can be told, okay, the third place match is going to take roughly 2 hours. You can show up in 2 hours. Then you have then you can do your whole mental preparation and get ready at the right time.
Right. I see actually no argument against it. I guess you can still have a winner's interview. I guess the argument would be that you can't have a winner's interview, but if you can still do it, you can still do it nonetheless, right? You can still do it. Hey, be ready. This is going to finish. I know you already played. Please be ready for 5 minutes. So
I'd rather be 15 minutes, like just have like a 15, 20 minute time frame. Okay, we are starting within here rather than like we're starting within here, you know? But like the only negative of the third place match is you won't have the live cameras that in this case Mem's show is providing, right?
That's true as well. That's very true as well. Which Mem really feels strongly about it. And I know some players hate it, but okay. So another thing I disliked, it's the best of 9. Now, in this case, it was actually best of 9s in general. In my opinion, it's just way too long, man. And again, I know the thought process for this is that the longer a series goes, the higher the averageship goes, or at least that's the theory. But I've also seen enough tournaments where the last game of a series is not necessarily the one with the highest peak. So I believe, and I speak with as someone who was not a streamer, I believe this is more about hitting like the perfect time window where most of your viewers are going to be online and more likely to watch, which again is going to differ from streamer to streamer, right? So the final was just under 4 hours long. And again, going back to my point about most of the viewers, which are going to be casual, can you really expect someone who only watches Age of Empires 2 once every blue moon, can you expect it to sit down and watch 4 hours of Age of Empires 2? If you consider the guy has work the next day, has kids waiting for him, all those things. Feels to me like it's just too much time to spend watching the game. So I feel like a best of 7, more often than not, is probably going to be the ideal length where someone can actually sit down and tell his family, hey, don't disturb me for the next 3 to 4 hours or however long this is going to take, you know. Again, this is just an experience as a viewer. But I know as a player, and you just said as a player, there's also good reasons to not like a best of 9. I know you're getting old and all of those things. But what do you think about that?
Like playing Age of Empires at a high level is exhausting. I mean, it's exhausting at a low level as well. Because
dude, I get a headache after 2 games or 3 games.
Yeah, and especially if you have like, luckily in this final, me and Harry didn't have any super long drawn out games, right? Like arena games tend to like something like Fortify Clearing can be easily like an hour plus game sometimes. If you have 1 or 2 of those in a set, that is a best of 9. It's so tiring, especially if you lose one of those games. It's like extra because you worked so hard and then you'll end up coming out losing one of those games. But yeah, like for me, it's like after the final, I was exhausted, right? We played 8 games. You said it took like 4 hours ish.
Just under 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah, exhausting. Like you just feel like so done afterwards. So for me, also best of 7 feels way more. I feel like I'll be able to perform my best probably in a best of 7. The longer a set goes, I think any player the level will drop, right?
Yeah,
and that means the quality of the games also drop. So
correct.
I feel like a shorter set is more beneficial, but I understand why they want the best of 9 because of the potential for like the drawn out set and potential higher viewer peaks.
Yeah, as Nearly always said, that the thing is about a best or about Twitch in general is that viewership tends to rise. So the longer you're online, the viewership just tends to rise. And who am I to say that's not true? But I've just seen more than once, I'm pretty sure I've seen that the last game in a series is not the one with the highest viewership.
Yeah.
Which again tells me that it's maybe more about hitting that perfect time window where, you know, the climax of a series is happening around the same time that most of your viewers are going to be online. And you're probably still going to be likely to hit that point if you have a best of 7 series, which is not that much shorter, but still just more, I don't know, for me, again, very, very personal. I have no data to back this up. That's just how I feel about it.
I think it's also like if you have a specific game, like I remember, I don't know what tournament it was, but Jordan was playing like a Black Forest match against
Andy, wasn't it?
Andy, maybe, yeah. Like that one apparently, like the viewers just kept going up and up and up and up, like during that specific game.
Right.
So I feel like that's more, the viewership going up like that is more related to like a like you have like these like throughout the whole, you have like
Fair
a wave.
Point. It's about how close the game is.
Yeah, specific games that last longer that pulls the viewership higher. I don't think there's like, oh, the set is lasting longer, so viewership goes higher. I think there's specific games within that may give the peaks, right? I mean, but there are counter arguments as well here. Like with Hera being so dominant right now, he has had a few finals now where there's like clean sweeps, right? So if you don't have best of 9, you're like ending at 4 games, which could easily be like.
Well, but that's maybe better, right? Because if you're leading 4-0, how likely is it there's going to be a 5-4?
Exactly. You're going to start hyping it up, the comeback, eh? Yeah. There's no matter what, you're always going to find pros and cons, right? But no one wants a final where players are starting to suffer, or that, you don't want a clean sweep either, though, right? So best of 9 on paper also gives more chances to a player to turn it around, you could argue.
Or for a player who's actually the better one to catch up to a losing situation. It always goes both ways.
Right? Yeah,
now,
exactly.
I just watched this Warlords 3 final, which was an excellent final and a very close final. But there again, there was really a point there where it felt it's over. After that Arabia game, I think I felt, boy, it's going to be so hard now for Viper to actually come back. And I think most people felt this. If that's the case, though, I feel, was Game 5, was it the Arabia one, which you got completely destroyed in
Game
the
5,
Aztecs?
no, Game 6 was Arabia. Game 5 was the
fine.
Arena.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you lose that one, great. So do you lose that badly, that Game 6, if you know it's a match point for Hera? You maybe don't lose it that badly, maybe. Because, it's match point for Hera. Man, let me try as hard as I can.
I would not, because I wouldn't have Aztecs if it was the best
fair,
of 7.
Okay, yeah, that everything else changes. Fair. But I think there's a mental aspect
I get
of this,
what you mean,
this whole thing as well.
No, for me, it was more that after the Arena game, it was exhausting, right? And that for me felt like a big throw. And then I was starting to get tired. So entering the Arabia game, it was just like, he caught me a little bit off guard with early pressure, and it just snowballed from there. I just didn't have anything in me to try and survive, right? So it became a complete stomp, that game.
In any case, excellent tournament. I loved it. I think Mem did basically, you have good reasons to like it too. Amazing performance. Mem did basically everything correct, in my opinion.
I mean, for Warlords and Mem's tournaments, I think Warlords is his best event, and I think this was his best Warlords event so far.
I agree. The first one was amazing too. I remember, well, that's maybe because it was the first and was so innovative in terms of the categories, so maybe that's why I felt that way too. In my opinion, definitely better the King of the Desert, which can also be amazing. Let's
I think
give all this caveats.
one map only tournaments, except like the super specific Black Forest Arena, I think one map tournaments are past us.
Are becoming less relevant. I agree. Okay, so to those folks who always feel sad when a major tournament finishes, well, cheer up, my friends, because you still have more than enough tournaments to watch. You have, for example, the Rage Forest 5, the 4v4 Black Forest tournament only, Viper was just talking about, and the tournament is already running, and it'll be on until July 21st. Viper's not in it, but we have Doubt, Hera, and Tato as the team captains participating. As some of the team captains participating, so make sure to tune in. It's some really great fun. And there's already been a little bit of drama. Have you seen it?
Wait, there's been drama?
Oh, you have not. You were building your baby furniture.
True. Oh, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday, or we talked about. It was talked about yesterday.
So it's good that we postponed the podcast.
Well, no, we could have. There's no reason. There's no excuse. Sorry, Viper. We could have talked about it yesterday. I think it was 2 days ago in the evening. In any case, I always don't know what's the right thing to do here, because if we talk about it, we sort of amplify it, and it's really just not a big deal.
Well, now you have to say it, because I haven't.
I will. But if we don't talk about it, it feels like we're failing in our mission of informing viewers.
Okay.
So yes, we're going to be talking about. Okay, so this involves Team Hera and Team Tato, which are 2 players, so it's a little bit spicier. Okay, it's no big deal. I promise, it's really no big deal. No, it's not. So the series was 1-1. And it's play all 3, right? So the last game of the series, third game, crashes, and they can't restore it. And I feel like we don't talk about this too much. This should actually be the talking point about this. Devs, why can we not restore a game in 2024? Why is it so unreliable? They can't restore it. So they have
what point did it crash?
Minute 40, something around those lines.
So deep into the game.
Deep into the game, they couldn't restore it, and that's also going to play a role.
Have a significant advantage?
Yeah, that's going to play a role. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Okay, so series is 1-1. Last game crashes, then they cannot restore it, so they have to replay game 3. Yeah. Game 3, the map is bugged. Team Hera has like one lake. I think one of the lakes has only got 1 fish. Which I believe is stipulated in the rules that it's reason to call a restart.
Okay.
And you only have 75 seconds to acknowledge a bugged map.
75
seconds. And okay, that's it. I like that you think it's way too short, because it's one of the arguments that I've talked about. Oh, so long.
I'm joking.
But we're going to get to that too. In any case, they didn't know about the 75 seconds rule. They paused the game at like minute 3, minute 4, and they asked for a re. The team Tato refuses the re because they know the rule stipulates 75 seconds. Administrators refuse the re because the 75 seconds are gone. Now, because of that, Team Hera is a little bit disappointed because they feel like they were winning the game that crashed. Turns out they were not winning that game. The situation was pretty even, and if anything, Team Tato was slightly ahead, which is why they probably decide to not give the re. Because they felt like
both teams felt like they were winning when they crashed. Okay.
Correct. In both, so Team Hera is disappointed because why are they not giving us the re? We were ahead in the game that crashed, but they were not ahead, and that's probably why Team Tato says, hey, listen, you guys were not ahead. The rule is gone. The 75 seconds are gone. You have no claim to this re. The admins agree. There's no claim, and then the game goes on, and Team Hera loses.
Can I ask for more context quickly?
Yes, I'm going to try to give it to you.
You said it was 3 or 4 minutes into the game. Was there any significant developments regarding flanks and villager fights?
Yes, Hera had just lost a villager. And at that point, they noticed that one of their lakes, that the lake situation was unfair. Okay. And that's when they paused. So very clear point. They didn't pause because they lost a vill. That's not why. It's just coincided.
But that's another thing now. So, okay, we also killed a villager and now they're asking for a re. It's like, I mean, in any case, let me just finish. Everybody accepted the decision. Nobody was salty about it. There was no drama.
Well,
what is this? I thought it was drama. Where's the drama?
Well, people talked about it, and they were disappointed team members here and there. There was a Reddit post, which is how I learned about it.
Oh,
yeah. So that's the situation. I rewatched the stream, at least the finish line of it, and people kept a cool head. There were no insults or anything. There was no barb straight or anything of the sorts. What never fails to disappoint me, though, is Twitch chat. And this is why maybe it was a little bit of a drama. In Hera's Twitch, as soon as he writes, hey, wouldn't you guys want to give us the re because we were ahead in that game? People start crapping on Hera nonstop. Why are all so salty? Why are you such a crybaby? To be clear, he was not being any of those things. He was just asking for a clarification. He thought he was ahead, so why? It's so hard for me to understand why people do these things. It's like when you see somebody is down, you do your very best to put him even more and more down. And I don't know if this has got anything to do with it, but I just opened Twitter today in the morning, and Hera was saying he was planning to make a 12-hour stream today, and he canceled it because he was feeling bad. Again, I don't know if there's any connection to this, but I would have to assume there is because people said some nasty things. And yeah, I just wish these things were not a thing. That you see somebody is down and it's sort of try to kick him even harder. Yeah. In any case, discussing the rules, you do feel as well that 75 seconds is too short, right? I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, as a Black Forest is honestly the most intense map in the opening minutes because of all the stuff that happens on the flank. So to expect also everyone to pay attention to the lakes and make sure all the lakes are correctly balanced, I feel like that should definitely have a bit more time, right?
I agree, but I've been educated on the matter, and apparently all the Black Forest veterans agree that 75 seconds is more than enough time if you know to check for it. And this is probably the problem, because Team Hera is not very experienced in Black Forest tournaments. They do play Black Forest games a lot, but tournaments is a whole different thing, because if you have a bugged map in a lobby game, who cares, right? And if you know to check for it, and you know that the first thing you have to do as a pocket is to check for it, everybody seems to agree 75 seconds is more than enough time to do it. They just didn't know they had to do it, I guess.
I do agree. As a pocket, like what you're doing, you're picking up your first four sheep, and then you're like sending your scout to your ally. So you don't have that many tasks afterwards. So yeah, I can see that a pocket should check the pawns, and 75 seconds should be enough. So I understand that as well. But I also understand the idea of like, hey guys, we're just 3-4 minutes into the game. Can't we just have a restart to have a balanced game?
Apparently there were a lot of delays as well. So maybe that's why they just wanted to get it over with.
You never know the full context of things like this. But in the end, I think it was a fair decision. But like on the Twitch chat thing, I mean, like it's always going to be like that no matter what. People have their favorites and they have their lesser favorites, let's put it that way. And they look for any way to trigger or whenever there's an opportunity to jump on a guy that you dislike or something, they take the chance, and it happens to everyone. And it's just sad that it continues.
Why though? Right? I just don't get it.
People, they're behind a nickname that no one can see their real life, right?
It's so easy. Yeah.
People feel very comfortable behind the keyboard.
Something else about this rule, which I also pointed out, and I've also been educated on, and I'm happy with the explanation. Shouldn't a bugged map just be a re automatically? I mean, if there's a bugged map,
I would say it's the same in random map. You might have a bugged gold, but the rest of your map is so satisfactory that you want to continue playing.
Right. That's what people told me, that it's totally possible you have one lake fewer than the opponent team, but depending on how the Vil warring situation goes, you can still decide that you prefer to play the map. So I totally see the point there.
I get the time limit as well, right? Because if you let the time limit be longer for asking for a restart, the villager fights as well can already be decided. Yeah. And then you can take more risks knowing you have a bad map. And then it's like, well, if I lose, I'll just call for a restart.
Right. So that's what William said, that if we increase the time frame too much, then it gives the opportunity to decide, okay, the Vil War was shit for my side, let's call for a re, which it's totally fair. Again, I think an important point here, this is the 5th edition of the tournament. These guys have been thinking about rules for 5 editions. They know exactly what the time frame is. And again, to make it perfectly clear, everybody accepted the decision. Nobody was salty about it.
The only drama was stupid Twitch chatters, essentially.
I'll say yes.
Yes.
And I think it made for an interesting opportunity to explain these things. Why only 75 seconds and all of those things. In any case, Rage Forest, amazing tournament. Yeah. I was watching a lot of the games on Hera's Twitch, and I think, you know what I think adds a lot to the intensity and to the immersion of a Twitch stream is when you hear the comms. If that could somehow be incorporated into the stream, to like the main event, into a caster, they just hop here and there into that would be so amazing. It's so intense. It's so cool to listen to it. We did.
There was a team game tournament or two where I remember we had to be on Woobly Discord TeamSpeak channels.
Wait, that must have been one of my tournaments, but I don't remember.
I don't know if it was one of yours, but I remember that it was so the streamer. Maybe it was a MEM tournament.
Maybe it was a
someone where the streamer could jump in and out and listen to the communications between games and
that
during
needs to come back. That needs to come out.
No. It should not.
Okay, because if you
imagine
feel like
from a team's perspective, you're discussing something and you're like, I mean, when you're in a team, right, you also want to share and talk strategies that you might not want to reveal for a later stage, right? Imagine we're talking strategies for a game 5 that never happens, and that he was in the comms and listening and spreading the word, right? Or imagine you're shit talking an opponent.
Yeah, that's privacy concerns. I totally see it.
I think that should not be a thing.
Well, when you're playing with friends, you're gonna be saying some things that you otherwise probably don't say. That's best kept private.
Happen, right?
Yeah, I see the point. But it just adds so much to the intensity.
I do understand that.
You know what Counter-Strike makes, if I'm not mistaken, is like for the highlights, for highlight reels or something, they get some of the team communications and they put it in. And of course, they cut all the things that's not supposed to be said and folks are not supposed to hear.
Isn't that also always LAN tournaments and like...
Of course. Yeah, only on LAN tournaments, of course. Yeah. But if team game tournaments don't quite tickle your fancy, my friends, well, how about the Shen Aishi Cup? SAX for short.
Nice pronunciation there.
Well, thank you so much. This is an Arabia. How much do you know about Chinese? How would you know if that was good or bad?
It was bad, actually.
Okay.
I know the XIE is always pronounced, I think it's Z.
Shenai Z. Shenai Z. All right. Well, there you go. Well, you did spend quite a lot of time in China, a bit longer than you wanted to.
True.
Okay, so this is an Arabia-only tournament, 3 villagers start, single elimination bracket, again. $20,000 prize pool sponsored by Mr. Shen Iz himself. And the tournament will run from the 29th of June till July 14th. 32 players will be able to participate. 24 will be chosen through the qualifiers, and 8 players will be directly invited. These are Viper, Hera, Yo, MBL, Vinchester, Tado, Vivian, Cito. And those guys were chosen because they were the top 8 finishers of King of the Desert 5. Are we actually going to show up for the games, baby?
You know the final date of the tournament?
14th. It's when the baby's supposed to come, right?
What's the due date of the baby?
So you're not going to show up?
I told them, guys, there's a big chance I cannot play the games, right? If the baby comes early, I have to forfeit and everything. And then Yo told me, well, we can postpone the tournament maybe because the admin was probably a fan, like the host was a fan of mine. Not postpone, like a delay, rather.
I like the here, just touch your sponsors a friend of mine.
But it's like obviously like there's a chance I can play the whole tournament through until I'm eliminated or all the way. There's also a chance I have to like forfeit in the middle of the tournament. I warned them about this. They still wanted me to continue, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm excited. It's Arabia only, 3 villages start. I'm not that excited about that part, but you know, it's a $20,000 tournament right after Warlords gives so many players a chance to compete again. I think it's only good.
Mm-hmm. You know, the greatest thing for me about this is that the Chinese sponsors seem to be back. That's the feeling that I'm getting a little bit. The sponsor is a VAV viewer, if I'm not mistaken. He watches VAV stream a lot. That's what I've heard. And for me, it's just amazing to see the Chinese community is getting involved again. You know, in the past, when we had no Microsoft involvement, we relied basically on 2 big sponsors, the Tyrant and the SY sponsor, which was... a Chinese sponsor. Later, PinzTec also showed up, and some folks will probably remember him. He sponsored a few MEM tournaments, and I was just thinking about this. Do you know the story of PinzTec? I don't think the story has been talked about.
I know the story of PinzTec, yeah.
He was like a regular Age of Empires 2 player for many, many years, and he used to post a lot on AoE Zone. Back then, this was AOC Zone. Then in 2016, he made this post with the title, "I need some help with my undertaking." And the post starts with this. I'm maybe going to put it on the screen. Hi, friends. I am never gone from China. I love AOC. 16 plus for 10 years. 16 plus would be like, I guess, 1,400, 1,500 in today's. Yeah. You wouldn't know because you don't play at those levels. The post goes on. I am 29 years old, and I decided to run a company to make face masks. Air pollution in China is a big problem. Then for the next 4 years, there's not a single post from the guy on the AoE Zone. Then COVID happens. I think it was 2019 in China that the thing started to expand, right? Early 2020 for the rest of the world. And then his next post was written in May of 2020. And it reads, "Hi, it's been quite a long time since I last visited AOC Zone. I want to donate $50,000 to a tournament now." And he did. So the guy decides to invest in face masks shortly before the COVID pandemic hits. Man, that's so perfect.
He had an interview during the tournament he sponsored where he was sitting there with a beer in his hand and he was a little bit tipsy. Let's put it like that.
Oh, that part I do not remember.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was such a huge coincidence, man.
I mean, someone will always benefit from everything in the world, right? And we got a guy that benefited from something bad that happened and was able to put some of those benefits back into our scene, which helped a lot, right? So he also sponsored individual streams. Like I know me and Doubt got personal sponsorships from him.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he, I'm not sure if I should share, but I obviously was in touch a bit with him and I don't think he calculated everything with taxes correctly with the whole boost of his business. So I think that's why he slowed down sponsorships a bit because he needed to like make sure everything was in order on his side. Nelson, I need to run to the bathroom quickly.
Okay.
Give me a sec.
Okay, sure.
Sorry about that. Ever since I removed my gallbladder, there's been some acute situations now.
It's your next step in becoming a dad, believe me.
Yeah,
you won't be able to hold your bladder anymore. Yeah, in any case, something else that I also noticed was that Yo was playing under a new tag, LY. Apparently that stands for Ling Yuan. Are you gonna give me shit about my pronunciation again? And it's another team name apparently, who's also sponsored by a different individual. I've been told this is not like a super serious team, but there does seem to be some sort of sponsorship involved, which is always great. One thing that I worry about the tournament, Orion, is that what I've noticed, and again maybe it's very subjective, is that the Empire Wars ladder hasn't really picked up in activity as much as I thought it would ever since Warlords 3 has finished. And I sort of worry that this tournament is going to further exacerbate that there's going to be fewer activity on the Red Bull ladder, which might not be a bad thing. I'm not sure.
Oh, what's the deadline for the Red Bull thing? Is it end of July?
28th of July.
So they still have a month and a week, 5 weeks. I mean, there might be some people that just have had the realization that, okay, I probably cannot qualify. So they probably won't try through the ladder. That's very likely the situation. Like in the end, I think as the time window narrows down, there might only be like 10, 12 people with realistic expectations and chances of qualifying. So everyone else might stop playing and give up, right? So in the end, we might just have like these same 7, 8 players grinding the ladder towards the end.
That's exactly what I was thinking about, because a lot of people were saying that in the last weeks there's going to be like a boom in activity and everybody's going to be trying to get in. But I think what you just described, and I was thinking about it, it's a much more likely scenario. You're going to have like only a couple of people actually interested in playing it, because the rest, I won't be making it anyway, so I might as well just play what I like to play. And a lot of people don't particularly like to play Empire Wars.
And you're also going to have let's say Hera reaches a high elo, like, I think it's the highest reached elo that counts,
the one that
right?
Counts, yeah.
So there might be 1, 2, or 3 players that reach a high elo, where it's like, okay, the other person needs to win this amount of games to get there. Is that likely to happen? I don't know. So I'm just going to stop playing and I'll just monitor what's happening, right? We might just end up with like those like the people that are trying to get to one of those top 4 spots to be the only active ones as well. And the other ones only go active if they need to, right? It's one of those tricky scenarios, but that's always like, it's going to be like that with the ladder situation. It's going to be fun to see anyway.
Well, this is actually the perfect segue to actually give people an update on what the Red Bull ladder looks like right now. So you have Kapaj at the very end, then you have MBL, Vinch, and Cito. So these are like the top 4 right now. Then number 5 would be Hera. He's right about to catch up Cito. So I guess everybody is very much expecting Hera to make it there. But we have people like Yo right now. How far away is he from qualifying? He's like 80 points away from qualifying. Then you have Leary, somebody like Leary. He's almost 200 elo below like the top 1, like a botch. And basically almost 200 elo below the top 4, which makes you wonder if the reduction in activity, if it goes the way we were just talking about, is he going to have enough people to play and are there going to be enough points in dispute to actually give someone like Leary, who you would expect to actually make it? Doubt, what about Doubt? Doubt 1630. So yeah, again, 200 points below the threshold.
I mean, I would expect them to start grinding more Empire Wars over the next couple of weeks, just to like see if they can catch up a little bit and then like decide from there, is this worth it or not? But yeah, obviously, like people like Leary Doubt, they're lagging a little bit behind now, and they're going to have to like start putting in some work on the Empire Wars ladder soon if they want to have realistic chances. Because at some point, the window is just too big where you just don't have the time to catch up anymore. No, like I would have backed myself to qualify through the ladder anyway if I wanted to, but I am glad that I don't have to, and I'm looking forward to watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, right. My point here is that a lot of people, I believe, at the beginning were thinking that the activity is going to explode at some point shortly before, and I fear that might be a bit of the opposite because of what we just described, people feeling like they don't have a chance anymore. Speaking of Red Bull, though, good news for our team and for the fans of our team. The dates are not set in stone, but it's now official that there will be a Gamerlegion bootcamp in Berlin in preparation for Red Bull El Reinado. Again, I think it's very likely we'll have 3 players who will be there. Dowd gave him sort of a 50-50 chance of being there. That's what he said. But I want to think that even if he does not qualify, I want to think that Gamerlegion would still give him the chance to be there just to help you guys prepare. I mean, I don't know if this is confirmed. Do you guys have like a training plan that you're going to follow? I mean, it's too soon to tell.
It's like 90% shisha plays, 5% sleep, and a little bit of age.
All right, just gonna sit down and play some video games. Why not?
Literally every morning we wake up, Doubt just wants to go to shisha place. He doesn't want to play age. It's hard to get like proper training like that.
Wait, he wants to do it in the morning?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
but that's why he sleeps until 3 p.m. because that's when the shisha place opens.
So he always gave the excuse that the day needs 24 hours, right? Because he always sleeps 1 hour more than he's supposed to.
Exactly.
I guess at the end of the day, that's the reason why he wakes up so early or so late. Okay, in other good news, I'll be there too in the boot camp. Yeah, you didn't know about this, did you? I'll probably only be there for like 2 days, and we'll be responsible for making content for the team. So if you guys have some suggestions, please let me know. I guess a quiz needs to happen. A quiz between the 4 of you live, 1v1, 1v1, a free-for-all. That's going to be amazing.
Can we do a quiz with like these electroshocks? You answer wrong.
Electroshocks. Wow, that's where your mind goes to.
Sparks?
You mean a flare gun or something?
Punishments. I want punishments.
Punishment coins. That would be funny. Okay, so let's go back a little bit to the tournament, to the Red Bull tournament. If we were to go with Kapaj, MBL, Vinchester, Cito, I believe these are right now the top 4, and I believe these guys have all already been in a Red Bull tournament, so it wouldn't be like ridiculous to think they would qualify anyway. Mm-hmm. Do you see this still changing a lot, or do you think this is probably going to be roughly what we're going to get?
I definitely expect changes. Yeah, I mean, like it's unpredictable right now how people are going to react and adapt to the situation, right? Maybe Sitov, Winchester, Kapach, MBL now, they feel like, okay, we're comfortable here. We're not going to play too much by the risk of losing our points. But then again, you're also kind of incentivized to try and increase your points because your max ELO reached is anyway the cap for you. So it doesn't matter what your current ELO is. But yeah, obviously, like we mentioned, we have players like Leary, Yo, Hera, Doubt. All these guys will want to try and qualify through the ladder. So they're going to have to kick up activity soon. No, I don't know. I expect changes, yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if like Kapach puts in so much work in these things and he plays at a time zone where I would say the absolute top guns are not active. So I think Kapach, if he puts in the work and the right amount of time, I would not be surprised if a guy like him... I mean, he qualified for AoE 4 and AoE 2 last time, right? And he also was at the AoE 2 one before that. So Kapach is an experienced guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he even qualifies for the ladder, for example.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of complaints. I think Dowd was one of the players complaining. The people are a little bit unhappy with the system because few players are not playing a whole lot of games at the moment. Then there's a lot of people who are very selective with when they play and against who they play. But again, this is just something that it's baked into the system. We knew this was going to happen. So again, there's no complaints being directed here at the players themselves. They're doing what they're supposed to do and nobody's cheating or anything of the sorts. Yeah, this was just sort of the things that we said could happen and probably would happen. Because when I look at the top 4 right now, I see these 4 guys. All of them have been in a Red Bull tournament before. I don't think it would be ridiculous to say, well, these guys would qualify anyway. So this is a good top 4. As it is right now, right?
It's possible, right?
Yeah, I guess Hera you would expect to be there, of course, and he's right at the door again. It's like 20 points away or 40 points away. I
think as well, one of the arguments that people wanted to make, or like that Doubt also brought up, is like there's so many people that might be grinding day in, day out to not make it, right? So the suggestion is to like give some monetary rewards for the next 16, 20, 30 players behind the top 4.
You see that happening?
Right?
That does sound very reasonable.
I know that they are they're trying to find the budget, I would say. I mean, they're looking at it, right? They're open to it, right? So they said that on the Discord as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they find like some pocket change to like give some money to the people that are the closest to qualify.
And then again, that would probably increase even more the activity, right? Because if you have a financial reward, that would be... Okay, so as we speculated before, it's now been confirmed that Age of Mythology, the Age of Mythology part of the tournament, will be based on invitations only. I mean, I'm not surprised. In case you missed it, the game has now an official release date. That's September 4th. Yeah. And so the schedule is just way too tight for an open qualifier, I feel like. So probably the folks they'll invite are going to be the ones that are probably already testing the game and already advising the dev team. That would be my guess.
Sure, but also I would say that they still have an active, or in quotes active, I don't know how active exactly, but I know there's still Age of Mythology tournaments going on, right? So they'll probably just invite the top players from the tournaments, right? And experienced guys like Mist.
Yeah, some of those are the guys that are currently probably advising the dev team. Probably, like play style situations, stuff like that, right? I've never played AOM in my life, but I do hear many folks, I trust that they like the campaigns. A lot of the campaigns are apparently amazing, so I do think I'm going to buy it.
It is really good. I mean, the game looks great as well. I just hope it plays well. That's kind of my only wish. But yeah, I found like that's probably the most enjoyable campaigns I've played in like Age of Empires games. So highly recommend it. And if it is good, of course, time will show that. But I just hope they launch with like a multiplayer ranked ladder as well, and those things will be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so last thing I want to talk about today, which has already been widely publicized in the community, but we have a new team in town. That's WeSports. They're a German team, and they've decided to get involved in the Age of Empires 2 community after signing Leary and Hart as their only 2 players, for the time being. I mean, we don't want to toot our own horn here too much, Orton, but if you're a regular listener of the Town Center, you knew this was coming. We talked about this like 3 episodes ago or something. By the way, Philip, that's the guy who was leading the whole project. Is that the guy who like slipped on the stage in Red Bull 5? No. Oh man, I thought that was him. Okay, who was that?
Julian.
Okay, so Julian is still in the team too. Yeah. Okay, I thought it was Philip somehow. That's funny.
Could have been. They're both clumsy.
To those of you who didn't see this, it's a pretty funny moment. As Viper wins the Red Bull 5, a lot of people storm the stage to congratulate him, and Julian is one of the guys that slips into the stage and falls into his face. I did see fun times. I did see a tweet of his that WeSports prides themselves on being sort of a sustainable project. And I believe in the world of esports, that basically means that they won't be spending like ridiculous amounts of money in Age of Empires 2, which is totally fine. Again, I think we've talked about this many times before. In Age of Empires 2, for a little investment, you get so much return. I mean, case in point would be, in my opinion, Sebastian and Team Fox, right? So we talked about, I don't know how much support there is from Team Fox to the players, but there is a little bit of support. And, just by virtue of supporting him a little bit, you got him to really practice hard, to improve his gameplay. And then he played a third place match in front of like almost 50,000 people where he was wearing his shirt, right? So a little investment goes a long way, in my opinion, in our community, right?
Speaking of Fox, their bootcamp is coming up soon, and I know there's going to be content from there.
It's already started.
Yeah, exactly. My lovely editor might be involved. So I'm not sure what type of content, but I think they're even doing like this type of where they invite French players to come to the area, and like there will be like a small tournament or something there, even with, I don't know exactly the details, or if the details are supposed to be out there. So I'll not delve further into that. But yeah, like this was my wish, right? If they're bringing everyone together there, at least do something, show the people, make some content out of it. I think that would be great. And they're doing that. So that's exciting. And yeah, we have WeSports now with Hart and Leary as well. And I think that's going to be a big motivation for, I mean, we've seen Leary. I think he has like streamed 2 or 3 times already. What? It's wild, right? So
I think his contract stipulates that he has to stream 20 hours a month, which
he's screwed.
He's screwed.
That contract won't last long, I'll tell you that much. But no, it's good for Leary, right? That's easy 20 hours of grinding Empire Wars ladder if he wants to, right? So it's good for both Hart and Leary, both talented players, so it's good for the scene. And who knows, maybe they'll pick up more players in the future. And same goes for Fox, right? We have multiple teams now with paid players, and that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's also important for Red Bull. If you have players from several different teams, everybody's making content. I think that's very good for the scene. All right, Orion, listen, this was great as always, fun as always. I wish you both all the luck in the world.
Thank you very much.
And I wish a lot of energy. You're going to need it. It's going to be... you take all the energy you can get.
I'll take all the energy I get.
Yeah, it's going to be the most transformative experience you'll ever get, but also the most fulfilling. So you hope you do enjoy it because, they grow up so fast. It's a cliche, but it's true. It's true.
This podcast will also have the most transformative experience it will ever have, with T90 taking the seat here. I'm not sure how many episodes it's going to be. Probably be a 2, 3, 4. Who knows? We'll have to adapt based on the situation. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm sorry, guys, that I'm giving Tristan this seat. Hopefully, you guys will survive in the meantime. I'm sure it's going to be good.
Perfect way to finish this off. It's going to be some big shoes to fill. Okay, all right, Orion, listen, we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And
thank you.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those things. And if you enjoy the video, make sure to tune in for the next episode. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.